All right. So it appears the WNBA and NBC Sports have decided to move forward without even getting the deal done with these WNBA players as they continue to just spew a bunch of nonsense in regards to the CBA.
NBC exposed what Team USA didn't expect. ESPN won't say this clearly. NBC exposed something Team USA was not prepared for. And it happened in one night. Caitlin Clark did not raise her voice. She did not call anyone out. She did not demand anything. She simply sat at an NBA desk and looked like she belonged there.
We go here, boom, to NBC Sports, okay? And now NBC Sports, what they did is they flexed on them, okay? They flexed on them. Here it says, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. The WNBA is coming to NBC and Peacock.
That was the moment everything shifted, because the NBC appearance was supposed to be harmless. Quick segment, nice applause, move on. Instead, NBA fans leaned in. They didn't treat her like a guest from the women's game. They treated her like basketball authority. She broke down actions. She read coverages. She spoke calmly. No nerves, no overselling, and millions kept watching.
So it looked like Caitlin Clark has shut down NBC. If you guys don't know, she's making her first NBA analyst debut tonight, and some footage has been released, man. Look like Caitlin Clark is doing what she's doing best, and that is garnering a lot of attention, man. Caitlin Clark, ever since she arrived into the WNBA, but really it's ever since she arrived in college, she's been making it her point to make the transitions and do everything she got to do to become a household name.
That's what Team USA did not expect. They did not expect the attention to move from program to player. Team USA has always operated on one principle. The jersey comes first. The program comes first. The structure matters more than the individual. But NBC flipped that hierarchy in real time when Sam Flood publicly called her the most iconic figure in basketball, not just the women's game. That wasn't just praise. That was positioning.
We're actually adding another sharpshooter, as if our roster could hold another one down. It's a WNBA All-Star in Caitlin Clark, and guess what? We had our own Jamal Crawford and Zora Stevenson welcome her in, but the NBC way.
The NBA media ecosystem openly validated her in a way the WNBA rarely does. That contrast is uncomfortable, because once NBA audiences embrace you, the spotlight gets bigger than the system trying to manage it. And that is where the tension started. You could see it. Not in a press release, in tone, in posture, in interviews that suddenly felt sharper. When leadership feels in control, they sound calm. When leadership feels pressure, they tighten. And the more composed Caitlin looked, the more obvious the contrast became. She didn't respond. She didn't escalate. She went back to workouts. Nike teasers, 5-on-5 runs. Indiana Fever preparation. Meanwhile, the conversation online shifted. It wasn't about rotations. It wasn't about selections. It wasn't about coaching philosophy. It was about her. That is the exposure. Team USA wasn't collapsing, but it was revealed as unprepared for acceleration. Caitlin Clark represents speed. Attention moves faster around her. Ratings spike faster, narratives move faster, and institutions built on patience don't love acceleration, because acceleration reduces control. NBC didn't crown her. The audience did. That is the part no program can manage. Once momentum belongs to fans, you can't redirect it. You can only react. And reaction always looks weaker than initiation. This wasn't a scandal, it was a power reveal. The NBA broadcast showed she connects without the program's approval. That is dangerous in a system built on hierarchy. And here's the part people miss. Fans don't revolt loudly anymore. They disengage quietly. If they feel authenticity, they follow it. If they feel politics, they scroll past it. NBC gave fans authenticity. That's why the reaction hit harder than any press conference. This is not about Team USA disliking her. It's about realizing the spotlight is no longer fully controllable. And once control slips, things don't go back to normal. They adjust, quietly. And if this pattern continues, if NBC keeps bringing her back, if NBA audiences keep embracing her, then the program will have to adapt to her gravity. Not the other way around. If you're still watching, drop exposure in the comments.
This spring, NBC, Peacock, WNBA. Listen, I hope y'all WNBA players is paying attention. They will replace y'all asses. They have Caitlin Clark. They have Paige Beckers under contract. They have Angel Reese. They have replacement players they can go get. They have a slew of rookies they are about to draft. Nneka Ogwumike, if you don't play, I think the fans will be just okay.
Let's say this clearly. NBC just changed the leverage in the CBA fight, and it may not have meant to. When Caitlin Clark stepped onto that NBA broadcast, something subtle happened. She proved she does not need WNBA media to reach the biggest stage in basketball. That matters right now, because while negotiations stall, while proposals leak, while percentages get debated, one thing is clear. The WNBA needs viewership momentum, and momentum follows her. Now picture this scenario. If the CBA drags, if there's a delay, if there's a shortened season, where does the attention go? It doesn't disappear, it migrates. NBC already signaled openness to bringing her back. That's not a rumor, that's positioning.
Alicia Clark, if you don't sign on to the deal to play, I think the fans will be just fine watching Sonia Citron instead of Alicia Clark. Brianna Stewart, if you don't play, I think the fans would be okay watching Paige Beckers instead. I'm telling y'all, the WNBA, NBC, Peacock, they're pushing on and moving on with their promo, regardless if y'all signing this deal or not, because I'm pretty sure they got a contingency plan in place. They have a contingency plan in place. Y'all better stop playing games and sign this deal.
If she becomes a recurring NBA analyst during instability, that changes negotiation psychology. Why? Because leverage isn't about money alone. It's about options. The strongest negotiator is the one who can walk away. Now, I'm not saying she will, but NBC just showed she can exist outside the WNBA spotlight and still command national relevance. That shifts perception, and perception shifts power. During the broadcast, she didn't just participate, she led segments naturally. She spoke like someone who studies the league, not someone visiting it. NBA audiences responded. That reaction becomes a data point. Ratings, engagement, clips circulating on social media. Executives see those numbers, negotiators see those numbers, agents see those numbers. And in any collective bargaining environment, external validation strengthens internal value.
Is hurting them for its viewership, attendance. All of these different things is playing a factor in the WNBA not moving forward into the right direction. You can hate it or love it, but Caitlin Clark has single-handedly helped you young ladies bring proposals to the table. She has single-handedly lifted the boats. She has single-handedly garnered y'all charter flights, for God's sake, within 2 weeks of her being drafted. And just to see the way the WNBA players, WNBA owners, even certain owners coming out, we all remember that, speaking out about Caitlin Clark in a negative light. Different people like the commissioner, Kathy Engelberg, pretty much telling Caitlin Clark that if it wasn't for the league, she wouldn't have her platform, not knowing that Caitlin came in the game with everything she needed to be successful. She actually did y'all a favor.
Think about timing. CBA leaks hit ESPN. Confidential documents circulate publicly. Fans question revenue splits. Then NBC highlights the league's biggest star on the NBA stage. That's not just optics. That's leverage. Because now the narrative becomes, if the WNBA can't figure this out, the market still wants her. Markets are ruthless. They follow demand. And right now, demand follows Caitlin Clark. This is not about her threatening the league. It's about proof of independence. When a player proves she can generate relevance beyond the structure has to adjust. And institutions rarely enjoy adjusting. The most important moment wasn't a headline. It was calm. She didn't lobby for anything. She didn't hint at dissatisfaction. She just performed. Performance under pressure is currency. And NBC handed her a larger currency exchange. Now imagine sitting at the negotiation table knowing that. Knowing she can step onto NBA broadcasts. Knowing Nike campaigns are coming. Knowing audiences follow her regardless of schedule instability, that doesn't weaken her position, it strengthens it. Because leverage isn't loud, it's silent confidence. And NBC gave her that stage. If the CBA resolves cleanly, great. But if it doesn't, there is now an alternative spotlight. And alternatives create bargaining power. This isn't drama, it's economics. When demand exceeds containment, the value rises. NBC didn't attack the WNBA. It expanded her ecosystem. And once an ecosystem expands, control narrows. If you're still watching, drop leverage in the comments.
We're going to talk about Caitlin Clark because she's got a new job. Caitlin Clark has landed herself a new, very high-profile position, and I've been wondering when this was going to happen. I knew at some point, somewhere, with some miscellaneous media outlet, Caitlin Clark would get a gig, and now we know where that gig's going to be, when that gig's going to be, and who that gig's going to be for.
After NBC, Caitlin Clark doesn't need the WNBA. That sounds dramatic, but stay with me. After NBC, Caitlin Clark proved something critical. She does not rely on the WNBA machine to stay culturally relevant. That is new territory. Before this season, the conversation was simple. She brings ratings to the league. She brings sponsorship attention. She brings mainstream interest. But it was still framed inside the WNBA structure. NBC broke that frame.
Caitlin Clark lands new role in basketball during Indiana Fever off-season. You know, I don't know how much. There's no CBA right now. And this, of course, would run through, at least May, in theory. I don't know. We don't have any dates that stretch that far yet.
When she sat on an NBA desk and felt natural, it expanded perception. Not women's basketball star. Basketball star. Full stop. That distinction matters. Because the moment audiences stop compartmentalizing you, your market changes. NBA fans didn't watch out of obligation. They watched because she added value to the broadcast. That is universal currency. And once universal appeal is proven, dependency shrinks. Now let's zoom out. She has Nike momentum building. She has Indiana Fever anticipation. She has Team USA visibility. Now add NBA broadcast credibility. That's a diversified platform. Diversification reduces reliance. The WNBA still matters. The Fever still matter. But they are no longer the only stage. That is what institutions notice. When one entity is your sole pathway, it holds power. When multiple platforms compete for your presence, you hold power. NBC just entered that equation, and the reaction online told the story. Fans didn't debate whether she belonged. They debated how often she should return. That's a shift. That's expansion. Now, layer in uncertainty around the season. If there's instability, she doesn't disappear. She transitions. She remains visible. That stability of visibility is rare in sports. Most players fade without games. She doesn't. That changes narrative control. And here's the deeper piece. When a player feels bigger than the container, pressure builds inside the container. Not because anyone hates her, but because structures resist being overshadowed. The NBC moment wasn't loud. It was quiet confidence. And quiet confidence often feels threatening to rigid systems. She didn't say she doesn't need the WNBA. She showed she isn't confined by it. That's different. And once that perception spreads, negotiations, media tone, and institutional posture all shift slightly. Nothing explodes, but gravity changes. The game doesn't revolve solely around the league. It revolves around attention, and attention currently revolves around her. After NBC, the ceiling expanded, and expanded ceilings reduce dependency. That's not rebellion. That's evolution. If you're still watching, drop independent in the comments.
All right, Black and White Sports Supporters. Well, it looks like Brianna Stewart is coming out and saying that maybe some things have been addressed when it comes to the WNBA CBA. They still got issues that they're a part on, but some progress has been made in just the last few days.
Man, oh man, it appears these WNBA players, they are nuts. They are absolutely insane, and they are continuing to try to play hardball with these WNBA owners in regards to the latest CBA offer made by the owners. Breanna Stewart absolutely slapped around that last offer.
Breanna Stewart just rejected the WNBA's latest pay deal. Not tweaked it, not delayed it, rejected it. And when she said no, the entire league exploded because this wasn't a small proposal. Owners raised the salary cap to $5.65 million. They offered max contracts climbing toward $2 million, minimum salaries jumping to $230,000, housing upgrades, facility improvements, and Stewart's response: it didn't move much money.
A large contingent of WNBA players is a key point. There's a large contingent of WNBA players playing in Athletes Unlimited, not Unrivaled, not Project B. They're not making a bunch of money right now playing basketball in Athletes Unlimited. This is just to get some conditioning, get some 5-on-5 in, and things of that nature. This is not something where you are going to fatten your pockets. So ultimately, the players in this league, these are those middle of the pack players who seem to be getting left out in thought by the veterans, the Nneka Ogwumike's, the Breanna Stewarts, the Napheesa Colliers, who are all compromised but also can afford a lockout. These players, majority of these players in Athletes Unlimited, cannot afford a WNBA lockout.
That's the moment everything changed. After 6 weeks of silence, owners finally responded to the players' proposal. The executive committee jumped on a Sunday call, not to celebrate progress, to get on the same page. That phrase matters because it tells you something was already fractured.
Interesting. WNBA and players make CBA progress as Breanna Stewart opens up on process that has taken way longer than needed. Boy, that a little truth. Some actual truth out of one of these players. This is getting a little bit more interesting. We also learn about whether or not there is a current, what they call drop dead date, meaning the season won't start on time, yada, yada, yada. The executive committee for the Women's National Basketball Players Association held a call Sunday to discuss the WNBA's latest collective bargaining agreement proposal, which arrived on Friday. The executive committee wanted to, quote, really understand everyone's point of view and, quote, get on the same page about what we're asking for. Get on the same page? Well, my understanding, everybody was on the same page, right? Oh, that's right. We found out that there was a fracture the other day, and then they tried to clean up that mess.
Stewart said time is of the essence. She also admitted she doesn't know if there's a drop-dead date. But make no mistake, there is always a deadline. Training camps need planning. Free agency needs structure. Expansion drafts need execution. And we are only weeks away from when those dominoes must start falling. Now let's slow this down, because the numbers matter. The new proposal raises the salary cap to $5.65 million. Maximum salaries would start around $1.3 million in year one, eventually climbing toward $2 million. Minimum salaries jump to $230,000. The average salary would sit around $530,000. First year and minimum players get guaranteed one-bedroom apartments. Developmental players receive studio apartments. That is not cosmetic change. That is a massive financial leap.
The WNBPA Vice President Breanna Stewart told CBS Sports in an exclusive interview Monday, the WNBA's proposal, the league's first response to the players' latest offer, which came more than 6 weeks ago, quote, didn't move much money-wise. So there wasn't a lot of money increase. There wasn't. It was like they went from a $5 million salary cap, I believe, to 5.65, something like that.
For context, the current maximum salary is roughly $240,000. This would be more than 5 times that amount. So why reject it? because none of it addressed the core issue, revenue sharing. The league is offering roughly 70% of net revenue. The players want a percentage of gross revenue. That difference sounds technical. It is not. Net revenue is what remains after expenses. Gross revenue is everything before expenses. That is the battlefield. Housing is appreciated. Salary bumps are welcomed. But revenue percentage is the non-negotiable. And that's where everything exploded. Now, here's where this gets uncomfortable. Not every player can afford a lockout. Veterans have endorsement deals, overseas contracts, alternative leagues. But second-year players fighting for roster spots, rookies who rely on that WNBA paycheck, they are scared. There have already been reports of players openly saying they cannot afford a missed season. And when leadership holds firm on 30% revenue sharing without visible compromise, that tension grows quietly inside the union. Because this isn't just about fairness, it's about survival for some players. And that creates pressure. Stewart also admitted she doesn't know if there's a public drop-dead date. But in professional sports, there always is one. If there's no agreement by late March, camps get delayed. If there's no agreement by early April, free agency shifts. If there's no agreement by mid-April, games start disappearing. That's not drama. That's logistics. And while negotiations drag on, the public battle has already begun. Details of the offer leaked. The housing, the salary increases, the concessions. Fans saw the numbers. Some believe the owners moved significantly. Others believe the players deserve a larger share of revenue. Now, this isn't just a negotiation, it's a public relations war. Because here's the philosophical divide. Owners are saying, we will guarantee you more money now. We will increase salaries dramatically. We will improve living conditions. But we will not tie compensation to gross revenue in a league that is still stabilizing financially. Players are saying, we want structural equity. We want a fixed percentage of revenue. We want a system that scales automatically as the league grows. That's not a minor disagreement. That's two completely different economic models. Progress has been made, but not on the core issue. Housing improved, salary caps rising, working conditions better, revenue sharing deadlocked. And that's why this exploded. Because when a star like Breanna Stewart draws a line, it forces everyone to choose a side. The owners, the union leadership, the middle-tier players who cannot afford a missed paycheck. The next few weeks will determine everything. If neither side moves, this is not a slow negotiation, it is a collision. And the biggest question is not whether the league explodes, it's who absorbs the blast. If you're still watching, drop Revenue War in the comments.